Hey there and welcome back to Recap Mania. Prepare for a mind-bending journey with the Japanese movie Symbol 2009. Imagine waking up in an all-white room with nothing but mysterious buttons on the walls. Each button promises a different outcome, but with no instructions to guide you. How do you decide which one to push? Spoiler alert, by the way, so hold on tight and brace yourself for a thrilling ride. A man wearing flamboyant pajamas wakes up in an all-white room with no doors or windows and an ambiguous ceiling. As he investigates the walls, he stumbles upon a peculiar protuberance shaped like a male member. Curiosity getting the best of him, he touches it and presses the tip, causing a pair of old-school 3D glasses to fall into his hand. He puts them on and suddenly he sees hundreds of baby angels appear out of nowhere, giggling and disappearing just as quickly. But that's not all. Now all their members are sticking out of the walls and floor. As the man tries to make sense of the situation, he presses various buttons, unleashing a series of bizarre and random objects into the room, from a tiny toothbrush to a giant face. But hours later, after accumulating a vast array of random objects, he finally presses a button that delivers sushi. Frustrated and hungry, the man eats the sushi anyway, finding it surprisingly delicious. After trying several buttons to no avail, the man presses one that causes a waterfall to pour down on his head. Feeling defeated, he tries another button and finally discovers the one that opens the door behind the hidden section of the wall. Excitedly, he rushes toward the opening, but in his haste, he forgets which button opens the exit. The third one turns out to be the one. The wall slowly opens, revealing the door beyond it. He braces himself for disappointment, but this time he keeps the tip of his finger pressed firmly against the button as he runs towards the exit. He had tried everything from pressing the button with his foot in a runner's position to hitting it with a fly swatter from a distance, but nothing seemed to work. After some brainstorming, the man came up with an idea. He would place a heavy object on top of the button to keep it pressed down. He immediately grabbed a huge vase and placed it on top of the button. But to his dismay, the button managed to stick back up again. It was clear that the vase wasn't heavy enough. Frustrated but determined, the man knew he had to find a way to make the vase heavier. He decided to fill it with water, hoping that the extra weight would keep the bottom pressed down. No matter how hard he tried to redirect the water, it only fell on him and nowhere else. However, his luck seems to have turned when he accidentally pressed a button that reveals a rope falling from the ceiling. The sight of the rope instantly uplifts his mood and gives him a new idea for a plan. He opens the door and contemplates swinging himself across the room, using the rope to escape before the door closes again. As he attempts to put his plan into action, he faces yet another setback. He realizes that the door behind the fake wall is locked and he cannot escape through it. He must find a way to keep the key and the door open if he wants to make it out of the room alive. After what felt like hours, he finally caught a glimpse of something glinting in the corner of his eye. With a newfound determination, he raced towards it, only to be met with a snarling dog emerging from the wall. The man's frustration grew with each failed attempt until he finally stumbled upon a plunger among the many buttons. It sparked an idea in his mind, and he used it to push himself farther and reach the other buttons. He swung on ropes and pushed with the plunger until he finally uncovered the key to the door. But when he tried to open it, he was met with yet another obstacle, a separate lock on the top that required 3 numbers to open. Frustration mounting, the man searched for a solution. It wasn't until he threw the plunger in frustration and accidentally activated a button that he found his answer. The African Tribesman that emerged from the wall had 3 numbers painted on his forehead, the combination he needed. The man swung and jumped 3 times, each time landing a different number until he finally opened the door. As he stepped through, he felt a rush of relief, only for it to turn to dread as the door slammed shut behind him. He was trapped, with no room to move and no entertainment to keep his mind occupied. As he sat on the cold, hard ground, tears streaming down his face, he realized the true meaning of gratitude. But just as he had given up hope, a breeze tickled his cheek. He reached out, fingers brushing against the wall, and found a hidden crack. He pushed the panel open and raced through the secret passage. The darkness around him seemed to swallow him whole. Finally, he burst into a room, panting and exhausted. He looked around in confusion, unsure of where he was or how much time had passed. The room was empty save for the adult angels that emerged from the walls, each disappearing as soon as they were used as buttons. But as he took his first steps forward, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger journey. Now in the next scene, we see that in the bustling city of Mexico, there was a young boy named Antonio. He lived with his family, who were all very close and cared deeply for each other. However, recently there has been a sense of worry and tension in the household. The cause of this unease was none other than Antonio's father, who was known as Escargot Man, a famous wrestler in Mexico. His wife believed that it was due to his next opponent being younger and more energetic than him, but Antonio's grandfather pointed out that experience was more important than youth. At school, Antonio was being bullied by his classmates for betting on his father. As the time for the match drew closer, Sister Karen picked up Antonio and their grandfather, and they headed to the wrestling arena together. The journey was bumpy and the ride was uncomfortable, but the family was excited to see Escargot Man in action. Well, the first team to enter the ring was the Northern Tough Ones, a fearsome duo consisting of Super Demon and Tequila Joe. Escargot Man and his partner, Silver Eagle, known collectively as Kiss Me A Lot, were next to enter. The Northern Tough Ones taunted Escargot Man, asking him to join the fight, but he refused. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, something strange happened. The man in a mysterious room pressed a button, causing Escargot Man's neck to magically extend and knock out both opponents with a single blow. The man continued pressing buttons, causing Escargot Man to knock out everyone in the ring, including the referee, Antonio, and even the bell. Confused by the lack of response from the room, the man tried out different buttons. Just as the man was about to give up, he noticed a light coming from above and realized that there was no ceiling in the room. He could see angels flying in the distance, and he knew that he had to try something new. Instead of pressing the member buttons, the man used them to climb the walls. Every time he touched a button with his hands or stepped on one with his feet, something amazing happened on Earth. Finally, the man reached the top of the wall. Now he can float as well, just like the angels, and using all his experience gained from the training at the previous rooms. He embraces his role of God and begins choosing humanity's biggest hits on purpose, instead of randomly pushing buttons. By the time he's done, he's surrounded by feathers instead of walls, and he enters a glowing portal that takes him to the last room. This one has the continents on its walls and a huge member button that the man is about to press. This is the phase known as the future, and that marks the end of the movie. So, with that, this movie recap episode has come to an end here. Let us know if you are intrigued to watch the movie after seeing our recap in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more recaps. Till then, goodbye.